Greetings, brave explorers of the hidden, seekers of the shadows that lurk behind the facade of childhood and the vibrant hues that mask unimaginable horrors. If you ever regarded The Amazing World of Gumball as a mere animated series to pass the time, prepare to unveil a much murkier truth. On this occasion, we will delve into the entrails of 10 of the darkest episodes that this peculiar creation of Cartoon Network has dared to present. Tales that flirt with existential terror, that blur the boundaries of what we believe is real and confront us with the ineffable. From puppets with dark purposes to innocent yearnings with catastrophic results, join us on this journey into unease, where the familiar distorts into the repulsive and happiness transforms into the most absolute desolation. Do you dare to behold the dark side of Elmore? Make way if you dare. Episode 1. The Puppets. We begin our descent into the macabre with an episode whose title already hints at turbidity, The Puppets. And indeed, with the twisted minds behind Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared involved in its creation, we sense that the border between the adorable and the horrifying would blur until it completely vanished. The narrative immerses us in the seemingly harmless mischief of Gumball and Darwin as they explore their attic, discovering a dusty box containing old puppets of unsettling appearance. While Gumball experiences a visceral rejection of these objects, Darwin, with his usual naivety, which often borders on recklessness, becomes captivated by their charm. He hides them, defying the logic of his pocketless anatomy, and once alone, he indulges in a game that will soon turn into a morbid obsession. Frank and Howdy, the names he assigns them, transform into extensions of his will, to the point of swearing eternal loyalty to them, an oath as illogical as only Darwin could conceive. The situation takes a sinister turn in the school environment. The simplest everyday actions, such as feeding himself, become an ordeal for Darwin, now with puppet limbs. And the puppets. Their eyes narrow with palpable anger when Gumball dares to ridicule them. A silent hostility that foreshadows a much deeper threat. Soon, Darwin begins to direct insults towards Gumball, but his evident discomfort suggests that he is not in full control of his actions, as if an invisible force were manipulating him. Gumball's reaction, a clumsy hit with a piece of meat, interpret it as you wish, only exacerbates the atmosphere of strangeness. The night brings with it even more disturbing scenes. Darwin sharing a bath with the puppets, clinging to his childish promise. But when Gumball surprises him conversing with his new friends, the facade of innocence crumbles. The puppets attack, and Darwin's behavior has irrevocably altered. In a desperate struggle, Gumball snatches the dolls from his brother and throws them into the trash can, mistakenly believing that the danger has ended. However, the darkness has its own plans. That night, the puppets emerge from the trash can, but no longer with the childish voices that Darwin had lent them. Now they have their own voices, ominous and unknown. Thumps echo through the house, luring Gumball downstairs. The scene that greets him is nightmarish. One of the puppets smashing his game console. And who is holding them? Still Darwin. But something in him has irrevocably changed. The puppets declare that Darwin is no longer there, that he now belongs to their world. The only way to rescue him is for Gumball to venture into that nightmare realm. Upon putting on the Grady puppet, he is transported to a world that evokes the worst nightmares of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. A colorful world that feels inherently false, a mask for indescribable horrors. Gumball wanders through this distorted realm, identifying remnants of his childhood now transformed into grotesque, playful representations. Eventually, he reaches the dwelling where Darwin is confined, now in the menacing company of Frank and Howdy, at a terrifying human scale. A chilling vision that personifies his brother's perpetual confinement, camouflaged under an appearance of corrupted childish innocence. Grady makes his appearance, unveiling that the entire situation has been a ruse. The doors slam shut, imprisoning Gumball and Darwin in a desolate room where the authentic nature of this universe manifests itself. The puppets plot to subject them to torment for eternity. Fortunately, a loose end offers Darwin the possibility of dismantling their oppressors in sequences of an almost physical discomfort. The shocking conclusion arrives when they realize that this universe of horror feeds on their own imaginative capacity. With this epiphany, they annihilate it, escaping their nightmare. The episode culminates with a somber irony, A yard sale where the puppets are transferred to an innocent child, bequeathing the seed of this horror to the next generation. A touching ending for a nightmare where animated toys seek to devour souls. Episode 2, The Downer. We shift from sinister puppets to a more insidious threat, Gumball's own state of mind. The Downer introduces us to a Gumball sunk into the worst of depressions, a cloud of negativity that, with the egocentric logic of a cartoon protagonist, he decides to spread to the rest of the world. But things turn chilling when, in a fit of desire, Gumball yearns for everyone to disappear so he can enjoy his misery in solitude. And to his and our horror, his wish is granted. His family, his friends, his classmates, they all vanish, leaving Gumball in the apocalyptic ruins of an empty Elmore. This episode delves into the terror of what is known as liminal space, those places that are normally bustling with people, but that, in their absence, acquire a profoundly unsettling quality. Initially, Gumball relishes his isolation, scampering and shouting through the desolate streets, devouring any delicacy that strikes his fancy, committing acts of folly without any repercussions. A paradise for any infant. Ephemeral, lasting barely a lustrum of minutes. Soon, the harshness of reality imposes itself, and the sepulchral silence, the abandoned constructions, even the ominous background music weave a tapestry of terror. Gumball begins to comprehend the true magnitude of his reckless wish. But the nightmare has only just begun. Upon leaving his home, he discovers that the cheerful, joyful burger has metamorphosed into the somber Misery Burger. The iconic Captain Crunch now bears the name Captain Crud. The local economy has plummeted, although perhaps this is not so surprising. Nevertheless, what is truly chilling is the return of Gumball's distorted face, that mask of latent evil that forces him to utter vile things. Shortly thereafter, darkness begins to invade the world, completely engulfing Elmore. Gumball flees desperately until he finds himself cornered in his own residence, surrounded by absolute nothingness. But wait, he does not meet death. Simply, everything is plunged into blackness. Gumball begins to explore this new darkness until his hand feels a soft and squishy surface. Fortunately, just the sofa. In his yearning to escape, he recalls an inspiring phrase from his parent. When sadness overwhelms you, you must get back into the swing of things. And as if by an act of magic, normality returns. However, the final revelation freezes the blood in our veins. It had all been an episode of Gumball's sleepwalking. How could Cartoon Network allow such a level of psychological horror in a children's production? The Deserted City. The Void. This could well have been the origin of a chilling urban legend. A top-rated episode, but an experience no one would wish to live through in their own skin. Episode 3. The Task. We leave behind the surreal darkness and step into the uncomfortable tension of the task. It all begins in Principal Brown's office, where we witness a disturbing scene, the principal calmly shaving his own fur. It's an image that leaves Gumball and Darwin emotionally scarred. But before they can process what they've seen, they're given what seems like a simple assignment: to take care of the school hamster, Chris Morris, over the weekend. That's when things start to get strange. In an unbroken 10-second shot, we see Chris Morris staring directly into the camera with a look that suggests he has seen horrors beyond human comprehension. Being the terrible pet sitters they are, Gumball and Darwin take the hamster home. The next day, in a misguided effort to impress Penny, Gumball brings Chris Morris along on their date. The day spirals into a string of failed attempts to care for the creature, until the absurd truth hits them. They've been looking after Principal Brown's hairball the entire time. Meanwhile, the real Chris Morris roams freely through Elmore. The search for the hamster turns into a surreal chase, with Chris Morris darting through the shadows like a demonic rodent ninja, always one step ahead, or perhaps 3 steps behind, given his pace. Eventually, the pursuit ends in Principal Brown's office, just as the police are about to arrest Gumball and Darwin. But then, Chris Morris does something unexpected. He saves them, motioning for them to hide in a closet. The reason behind his action is surprising. Chris Morris didn't want Gumball and Darwin to be imprisoned, just like he has been trapped in a cage his whole life. An unexpectedly humble ending to an episode full of discomfort and absurd chases. Gumball and Darwin release Chris Morris into the wild, though his slow crawl makes us doubt whether he'll ever actually reach his destination. Episode 4, Breaking Point. From a scheming hamster, we move on to the terrifying eruption of maternal rage in Breaking Point. Things begin in a seemingly harmless way, by Watterson standards. A regular family grocery trip. Nicole lays down a single clear rule: no candy. But with Richard involved, it's more of a suggestion than a rule. Gumball, Darwin, and Aeneas, fully in mischievous mode, immediately start plotting how to get their hands on some sweets. Despite their efforts, every attempt fails miserably, pushing them to the brink and sparking a full-on rebellion against their mother. That's when Nicole completely snaps, literally transforms. What follows is a frenzied chase through the aisles, as Nicole becomes a monstrous version of herself. The animation shifts, her movements turn unnatural, and her expressions become grotesque. The kids quickly realize they've made a terrible mistake. They've pushed their mom past her breaking point. In one surreal moment, a security guard tries to stop her with a taser. To no effect. She glares at him so intensely, he instantly ages 50 years. Cartoon logic is powerless against this unleashed Nicole. In the end, Gumball and Richard, terrified by Nicole's rage, come up with a trap. With Darwin and Aeneas' help, they lay down some ceramic mugs in her path and manage to contain her like a wild animal. It's only when Nicole catches a glimpse of herself in a mirror that she realizes what she's become. Overcome with guilt, she apologizes to her family. They head back home, slightly more bonded, and with candy in hand. In the end, maybe it was all worth it. But one thing is certain, you never, ever want to be on Nicole Watterson's bad side. Ever. Episode 5, The Dream. From Unleashed Fury, we now move to dream-fueled betrayal in the dream. The episode opens with Gumball waking up in the middle of the night, absolutely livid. The reason? He just had the worst nightmare of his life. Darwin stole his girlfriend, Penny. Yes, Darwin, his best friend, his brother. Are they even related? Gumball wakes up burning with jealousy, and with the twisted logic only a cartoon can provide, decides to hold a grudge against Darwin in real life. Because, of course, that makes perfect sense. The next morning, Gumball is seething. He eventually explodes and accuses Darwin of stealing Penny. Darwin's response is simple. Dude, it was just a dream. But Gumball doesn't care. In his mind, Darwin has already committed the ultimate betrayal. And this is where things start to get disturbing. Instead of letting it go, Gumball spirals deeper into his delusion. The way the episode unfolds, it's almost as if Gumball is losing his grip on reality. Then Gumball has the brilliant idea to test Penny's loyalty. He offers her 2 cupcakes, one blue and one orange, hoping she'll pick the blue one, because obviously, Gumball is blue. But Penny chooses the orange one, which enrages Gumball so much he tries to force the blue cupcake into her mouth. Big mistake. Penny is allergic to the color blue. Now Gumball faces a new dilemma. Give her the blue pills or the orange ones to treat the allergy. And of course, he blindly picks the blue ones, only to discover they're actually thumbtacks. He sabotages himself at every turn. To untangle the mess, they decide to enter each other's dreams. And wow, those dreams are dark. But when they finally reach the right dream, Gumball replaces Penny's face with Susie's. Now Darwin is the one who's furious, and the cycle starts all over again. At this point, the horror isn't even about the dreams anymore. It's about how a single irrational thought can destroy everything. Gumball realizes Darwin never tried to steal Penny. He destroyed his own relationship for no reason, letting a dream turn into a waking nightmare. That's pretty dark. Episode 6, The Scam. We've officially reached the top 5, and if you thought previous episodes were dark, you haven't seen anything yet. At number 5, we have The Scam. The episode starts with Miss Simeon organizing a Halloween-themed show for the school event. While everyone brings basic stuff like costumes, Gumball decides to tell a truly terrifying tale about Gargoth, a demonic beast banished to the underworld, who returns if you say his name too many times, or so he claims. Naturally, Gumball, being the chaotic force he is, says Gargoth like 20 times in a row. Then strange things start happening. Chairs levitate, lights flicker, the class panics. But here's the twist. It's all fake. It turns out Gumball, Darwin, and Carrie, who is, after all, an actual ghost, have orchestrated a massive prank to spook the students and steal their Halloween candy. Carrie uses her ghostly powers to stage a haunting, while Gumball and Darwin pose as paranormal investigators who banish the demon. Terrified classmates pay them with candy, and their haul grows quickly. Even Darwin, who initially feels guilty, fully commits to the scheme, mainly to impress Carrie. At first, the scam goes perfectly. But of course, this is Elmore. Things never stay under control for long. Somewhere along the line, they actually summon the real Gargoth. This time, it's not Carrie's illusion. It's real, and it's horrifying. Gargoth is a towering, shadowy demon with glowing red eyes and a voice that could crack the walls. He's hungry, not just for candy, but possibly for souls. Gumball and Darwin, who thought they were running a simple con, now face something far beyond their control. They offer up all the stolen sweets, but it's not enough. Gargoth wants something more meaningful. That's when Carrie steps up and makes a shocking choice. She offers herself as his bride. Yes, really, to save everyone. As the bizarre wedding ritual begins, Gumball finds one last hidden candy and hurls it at Gargoth. The demon explodes spectacularly. The threat is over, the scam is done, everyone is safe. But at what cost? Episode 7, The Disaster. This next episode doesn't just get dark, it shatters the very structure of reality itself. And it leaves us with one of the most terrifying cliffhangers in Gumball history. Coming in at number 4 is The Disaster, an episode that starts off almost too cheerful. So of course, something horrible is about to happen. The Watterson family is on a road trip, singing a happy little tune on the way to the mall. They're laughing, vibing, everything feels suspiciously perfect. And then, boom! The car is violently struck, but it doesn't feel natural. Why would this happen? Well, the mastermind behind it is none other than Rob, holding a remote control that literally allows him to manipulate the universe. Rob, the eternal outcast, the forgotten character from the void, has seized control of reality itself. Tired of being ignored, of playing by the rules of a world that tried to erase him, he decides to rewrite the universe however he sees fit. He freezes time at the moment of the crash, leaving the Wattersons suspended like puppets. He mocks Darwin by changing the subtitles, turns Nicole and Richard against each other by disabling their parental instincts, and resets Gumball's entire relationship with Penny, throwing him back into lonely heartbreak. At first, Gumball doesn't grasp the scale of what's happening, but soon, the anomalies pile up, revealing this isn't some random glitch. It's a godlike game being played by Rob. The most terrifying part? No one else seems to notice they're being manipulated. When Gumball finally realizes his world is being rewritten, he confronts Rob. In a chilling moment, Rob points the remote directly at Gumball, revealing his twisted goal, not just to ruin Gumball's life, but to erase him from existence entirely, to make him the next forgotten one in the void. Just as he's about to execute his plan, the remote conveniently runs out of batteries. But Rob isn't done yet. To make sure Gumball is gone for good, he throws the remote into the void, forcing Gumball to follow it into limbo, his only hope to save his family. The episode ends on a gut-wrenching cliffhanger. Episode 8, The Loop. Thankfully, or perhaps unfortunately, the story doesn't end there. It dives even deeper into darkness in the third most disturbing episode of Gumball, The Loop. Once again, the Wattersons are in the car, singing that same cheerful road trip song on their way to the mall. But this time, something is terribly wrong. Gumball remembers everything that happened before, and he's not the only one. Rob remembers too. And unlike Gumball, he's losing his mind. Driven by desperation and rage, Rob begins warping reality in even more dangerous ways. He uses the remote to regress Nicole and Richard into babies. The result? Catastrophic. If they're children, Gumball and Darwin were never born. Aeneas tries to fight back, but she's instantly erased from existence. Gone. like she was never there. Meanwhile, Darwin starts to devolve back into a fish, gasping for breath as his body shrivels like a dried-up orange. Gumball finally confronts Rob. They both know the loop is about to reset, but Rob is done running. He would rather be destroyed than return to the void. What follows is an anime-style showdown, both dramatic and brutal. In the end, Gumball defeats Rob, hurling him back into the abyss. He's won, or so it seems. Then guilt creeps in. Gumball, overwhelmed by remorse, does the unthinkable. He jumps into the void to save Rob. Gumball, you had it. Why would you do this? The real problem? Gumball starts to disappear too. Time is running out. In one final desperate effort, he reaches Rob just before he vanishes completely. Together, they rewind time, resetting the world to normal. When it's all over, Gumball returns, changed. Maybe Rob isn't just the villain. Maybe he's not so different from Gumball after all. Episode 9, The Glitch. From temporal horror, we shift into the terrifying realm of digital decay in The Glitch, the second darkest episode of Gumball. It all starts innocently enough. Gumball and Darwin are hanging out at the mall. Darwin's trying on silly hats, and Gumball is doing his best to give feedback. Except every time he opens his mouth, something glitches. His voice lags, stutters, and warps like a corrupted video game. Darwin misreads it as an insult and storms off, hurt and confused. Gumball is left behind, flickering in and out of frame. When he returns home, things don't improve. The Wattersons are lounging around, but the TV is just static. Richard, in all his brilliance, tries to fix it the old-fashioned way, by smacking it. Classic. Meanwhile, Gumball continues to glitch out. His animation desyncs, sound effects misfire, and even his color palette starts to shift. He tries to apologize to Darwin, but now Darwin starts glitching too. His form becomes twisted. His eyes and mouth misaligned. When Gumball points this out, Darwin only gets angrier. Even worse, no one else seems to notice what's happening. And then the show itself begins to unravel. Scenes skip without warning, characters switch voices, props vanish, and dialogue loops endlessly. It's clear that something is seriously broken. Narrative logic disintegrates. Richard suggests getting them some ice cream to calm things down. Let's be honest, it's mostly for him. Then, chaos hits full throttle. Gumball and Darwin are flung through different times, places, and bizarre alternate versions of their world. Finally, they land in a moment of shocking revelation. They're not real. The entire episode has been one massive fourth wall break. Gumball and Darwin come to understand that they're nothing more than characters in a TV show. Imagine living your whole life only to discover it's all scripted, all controlled. That kind of truth would break anyone. Episode 10, The Joy. At last, we arrive at the episode that, in my opinion, traumatized me as a child. The Joy, the darkest Gumball episode of all time. Right from the start, the tone is off, with an ominous red text flashing on screen. Monday, 7:53 a.m. Something never before seen in the show, and it immediately put me on edge. The episode opens with Gumball and Darwin dragging themselves to breakfast, looking like they just rolled out of bed on a miserable Monday morning. Richard, being the ever-supportive dad, offers them a wonderful hug that he claims is filled with all the happiness in the world. Gumball and Darwin are skeptical, but Richard gives them no choice and traps them in a massive bear hug. Boom! A rainbow-colored mushroom cloud erupts from their house. Yeah, things get very, very weird. Later at school, more of that ominous red text appears. Miss Simeon is monitoring the school's security cameras, clearly enjoying the Monday morning misery of her students. But then she sees Gumball and Darwin, smiling, on a Monday. Unacceptable. She storms into the classroom to find them in full auto-tuned musical mode, literally begging her to stop the joy. Miss Simeon is horrified. To her, this isn't happiness. It's a disease. Determined to stop the outbreak, she quarantines the boys in the nurse's office. But things spiral out of control fast. Gumball and Darwin's joy becomes contagious, spreading through hugs and physical contact. One by one, students and staff fall to it, transforming the school into a zombie apocalypse scene. But with rainbows and disturbingly cheerful grins, something is deeply wrong. For reasons unknown, Miss Simeon retreats to her office, watching the outbreak unfold with horror. In a moment of desperation, she discovers that playing Beethoven temporarily calms the infected. Armed with a cassette player, she navigates the chaotic halls, dodging overly affectionate students. But it's hopeless. Gumball and Darwin corner her. Despite her resistance, she's overwhelmed. In her final moments before succumbing to the joy, she records herself, declaring that the story has reached a happy ending before bursting into manic laughter and vomiting a rainbow-colored liquid. And no, this doesn't turn out to be a dream or a hallucination. Apparently, this actually happened in the show. The fact that there's no real resolution only adds to how unsettling the episode feels. Well, those were the 10 darkest episodes of Gumball. Conclusion. Well, those were the 10 darkest episodes of the Amazing World of Gumball. I just started this channel, and I've got a lot more crazy content planned for you in the future. So I only ask one thing: subscribe. Oh, you thought you could just ignore me? Come on, bro. That's better. All right. But seriously, if you've made it this far, you're clearly one of the cool ones. I've got some insane theories, lost media deep dives, and maybe even a few cursed animations waiting just around the corner. So don't miss out. Hit that button and be part of the chaos from the very beginning. And hey, if you've got a favorite Gumball episode that creeped you out or made you question reality, drop it in the comments. I read all of them, even the weird ones, especially the weird ones. Let's turn this into the strangest cartoon corner on the internet. Also, I might just shout you out in the next video if your comment blows my mind. That's right, internet fame is just one creepy episode away. So buckle up, stay tuned, and remember, this world may be animated, but the madness is very real. Catch you in the next one, or in the void between episodes. And before you go, just ask yourself one thing. What if Gumball wasn't fiction? What if all those glitches, fourth wall breaks, and reality-bending moments were warnings? Yeah, think about that while you sleep tonight. Anyway, I'll be here, obsessively rewatching every frame for hidden messages. Some say I've gone too deep, but I say, not deep enough. And if the show ever answers back, you'll be the first to know. Until then, stay weird, stay curious, and above all, never trust a cartoon that looks directly at the camera. Peace out, reality glitchers. See you on the other side. Or maybe I already have. And hey, if you suddenly notice your reflection blinking at the wrong time, don't panic. It's probably nothing. Probably. Unless you've watched episode 97 backwards, then I can't help you. Turn off the screen if you want, but the static will still hum. You've opened the door, and some things don't close so easily. Good luck out there, and keep your eyes peeled, literally.